going to start with an update to the smart chat filters here on the left. And what I worked on was simplifying the LLM selection filter. So you can see now, instead of a full section with all the LLMs, we just have these LLMs listed here with their toggles. So I currently have GPT 3.5 selected. I can click GPT-4, Claude, and they just can toggle on or off with a click like this. One thing you'll also notice is that this section doesn't really have an on or off anymore. And actually the private knowledge doesn't either. And hopefully this makes it a little bit easier to use, but you'll notice right now when I click one of my tags, like maybe I'll click Formula One. If I scroll back up here to the LLMs, only GPT-4 is selected and the others are grayed out. So if I hover over one of these, it says this LLM is disabled because you're currently chatting with private knowledge. We only use GPT-4 to process chats with private knowledge. So just making it really clear that we're only using GPT-4 when you're chatting with private knowledge, and you would have to go back to the public knowledge, or basically unselect any tags you have selected here to get back to just chatting with LLMs specifically. So one thing that this functionality got rid of was the all knowledge feature of kind of defaulted to all knowledge. So I added a tag here which would allow you to chat with all knowledge. So if I click that, the chat just switches to all knowledge like this, and then you can chat with it normally. So all the same functionality should be there as was there before, but it just looks a little bit different. One other thing I'll mention here, this Google, I know we have Palm 2 here, like we still want to list it because maybe we'll have it eventually. So there's a tooltip that says this LLM is coming soon. And then we also have a like an informational icon here, a question mark with a circle. If you hover over that, there's a tooltip that explains what this section is. And I know there's going to be some copy updates to this. Erica, I saw your message about that, so I'll be updating that today. But yeah, so I think this is hopefully it's a lot easier to use. I think Pierre for sure was confused about how the previous UI was working. So I hope, Pierre, this is a little bit clearer. And any other users that asked for this, I can't remember exactly, but if anybody wants to put them in chat, I can shout them out right now. One other thing I'll mention is I found this tooltip component that I'm reusing all over the place. I think it's pretty powerful because you can just drop it over any HTML element, put any text or any React elements within it. So I think it's going to be a huge help for us in explaining what's going on in the UI. Hopefully it'll make onboarding a little bit easier. All right, any questions on that?
Yeah, I've got one actually just about the tooltip, which I'm very excited about because I'm like, we could, like you're saying, like where couldn't we use this? Like, oh, you could put that over all knowledge. Like this is how you can chat with all of your knowledge or things like that. But can people also, with this tooltip functionality, like X out of the tooltip or like have it not appear every time? When you go through an onboarding and those different tooltips pop up, then you don't have to see them again.
Right. Yeah, so I think how we could do that is set a cookie once a user signs in and has used it once, and then it would kind of disable these.
Mm.
There is an option to disable these tooltips in the component level. So we would just be able to set like don't show, and then it wouldn't show up when they hover over.
Got it. Okay. And
It's pretty
then,
flexible too. There's delays, so it won't show up right away, or if you hover over and then move out, it'll stay there, so you can do a lot with it.
that's amazing. When I love the simplified design here. I think also just like taking up less screen real estate and letting people dive right into their knowledge feels so good. Um, and I'm just recalling Finn's UI comment from our office hours around those three dots for all knowledge, which I guess maybe now does make sense because he was like, oh, I thought I could click on that or that it was a button, but he just thought the three buttons meant like that would open up something else.
Right. So I changed it a little bit so that the dots kind of go over the next one a little bit. If that's still unclear, I can change it to a different icon, but I was hoping that would make it a little bit clearer. The reason I did that is each one of these tags has a dot, and all knowledge is kind of all of it. So it's kind of just like stacking those
Mm.
dots on top. But yeah, if that's still unclear, then I can just choose a different icon. For some
Hey,
reason, it's not showing up here. I don't know why, but go ahead, Jodio.
hey, Ryan, could you just walk through the usage of this again? So can we start again with like multiple LLMs selected? Okay,
Sure.
so 3.5. All right, and 4. Yep, great. Okay. And then what happens when I click on all knowledge? It just deselects those. And then how
Yep.
do I get those back?
So you would have to get rid of all the tags you have selected in the chat over here. So if I had
Got it.
a couple selected here, I could just X out of that. It actually, once you get rid of all your tags, it defaults to all knowledge before going back to the LLMs. I'm not sure if that's how we want it to work, but basically you got to clear out all of your tags before going back to foundational LLMs.